Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we are going to be talking about popular books on Bookstagram, BookTok, BookTube, and whether or not I think they were worth the hype or not. Here we go. All of these opinions are subjective. You could love these books, hate these books, different opinions, same opinion as me. That's all great. So these are just my opinion. Don't get mad at me. This is all just for fun, okay? Also, I'm filming outside because it is literally so nice out and the warm weather makes me happy. And I figured I would film outside because it was so nice out that how could I not? Before I get into my favorites, least favorites of this video, I need to talk about this current read for a minute. I am reading the Zodiac Academy. This is the second book. I literally did not expect to enjoy this so much. I'm obsessed. I started reading this 2 days ago and I'm on page 482. So this is so good. If you haven't read it yet, you really should pick it up because it was so fast-paced, the first book, and now the second book is just as fast-paced. The characters are amazing. I'm obsessed with all of the complex relationships that they have. You need to read this series, please, because this is book 2. I'm pretty sure there's like 9 books, but I will be reading them all because this is so good. Anyway, up first, I really loved both of these books, to be honest. We have The Spanish Love Deception. My neighbor was just looking at me. This is why I didn't want to film outside, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Where were we? Spanish Love Deception and American Roommate Experiment. I always get it mixed up. American Roommate Experiment. I really loved both of these books. This was one of the first books that I read when I started getting back into reading, and I remember just absolutely loving it. I loved Aaron. I loved Catalina. I thought that their relationship was adorable. I thought that the whole fake dating aspect of it was adorable because this was also my first fake dating romance. And I just loved it. And I'm so glad that I read it. And I really do think about this a lot. And I think I'm going to reread it, especially when summer comes around, because it's just like the perfect summer read. And I'm very excited for Elena Armas's third book to come out. It's not related to these two, but I'm ready for it. So this one was a 5-star for me. I definitely think it was worth it. I just loved everything about it, and it was really good. Now we have American Roommate Experiment. While I loved this one, I didn't enjoy it as much as Spanish Love Deception. It felt very like, I don't even know how to explain it. It just felt very rushed, very insta-love, which is not my favorite, personally. I mean, it was quick. It was an easy read. It was enjoyable. It was entertaining, but it wasn't the most memorable, I think. Lucas was adorable. Lucas is Catalina's cousin, and he falls for Catalina's best friend. So this is Rosie and Lucas. It was really sweet, but it was almost like too, I don't even know how to explain it. It was almost like too, like they were just too nice, and it just kind of felt a little bit unrealistic, kind of, but it was cute, it was fun. This was a solid 4-star for me, so it was worth it, just not my favorite. For the next two, we have The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain. Now, this was literally the first book I read when I started getting back into reading, and just because of that, it will hold a very special place in my heart forever. And I loved it. I enjoyed every second of it. I think about it all the time. I felt that Olive was very relatable, I think. She, at least for me, I enjoyed her character. I enjoyed Adam's character, especially after finding out he was like inspired by a Star Wars character, just because that's so fun. Because who doesn't love that? So this was really fun. It was also my first like women in STEM romance, and I just thought that aspect of it was super interesting and honestly a lot more enjoyable than I thought it would be, because I don't like science or math or anything like that, but I loved it in this. And I just loved the the grumpiness of Adam and the kind of like the, she wasn't clumsy, but like, I just loved Olive because she was just cute. She was cute. I loved her. This was cute. Oh, I mean, this was worth it. I would say it was worth it. At least for me. I'm probably gonna reread it. But yeah, I thought it was worth it. But what I don't think was worth it, I did not like this book. I enjoyed it when I was reading it. When I finished it, I was like, that was cute. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, this is a literal carbon copy of The Love Hypothesis, just like a different setting and different names. B was obnoxious. I'm sorry, I did not like her one bit. Levi was almost identical to Adam, so I did enjoy him, but he was identical to Adam, so it was like, what's new? They, as a couple, were so annoying. It was just like everything that B was doing, she just irritated me so much, and I can't exactly put my finger on why, but I just didn't like her character. I found her to be annoying. The weird thing with the cat, like, I don't even understand that, but the story was fine. It just felt like so similar to The Love Hypothesis that I was just like, I felt like I was reading the exact same book. And I love The Love Hypothesis, but I don't want to read the exact same book if it's supposed to be a different story, you know? So it wasn't that it was like bad, but it was not my favorite by any means. This was like a 3-star for me. So if you did enjoy it, I'm very happy for you, because I wish I could have enjoyed this, but I just did not. So I'm really hoping that Allie Hazelwood's next book, Love Theoretically, redeems it for me. But this just was not worth it, at least in my opinion. Now, if you know me on my Bookstagram, you know that I already think that this book is 100%. This book is 100% worth it. I'm obsessed with it. I think about it every day. A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is without a doubt one of the best fantasy series I've ever read. This was also the first fantasy series I ever read, and I adored the world building and the characters and like the plot and the different settings, and I especially loved like seeing Farrah's relationship with Tamlin in this book, and then meeting Rysand, and my head was totally like, forget about Tamlin because he is a jerk. Well, not in this book, he's not. Sorry. I didn't mean to spoil anything. I don't think this is a spoiler at this point because everybody and their mother has read this book. But I adored this book, and I really am going to reread this series soon because it just was so good. And I loved Farrah's like relationship with her sisters, and like how even though they were not nice to, well, Elaine was not like mean, but Nesta was mean. That's another discussion for another day. But I just really loved this book. This whole series the series as a whole was a 5-star for me. This book was a 5-star for me. And if I enjoyed this book, and then the second book like was even better, if that says anything. Everything about it I loved. It was just so good. It was like perfect. I adore everything about this book and its characters. And if you've been looking for your sign to read this book or this series, now is your time. I had to put up the umbrella because I was dying. So also, my little sister, I asked her to get me a seltzer, and she comes out and she gave me water with lime that she cut up just for me, and I love her. That's all. Up next, this might be a little bit controversial, but also probably not as much as I'm thinking it's gonna be. Anyway, Ugly Love. Without a doubt, I hated this book. And I try and keep my videos like positive, and I don't want to bash any author or anyone who does enjoy this book, but I hated this book so much. The characters were so toxic. Their relationship was, I don't even know if I would call it that, but this just was not good. I did not enjoy it at all. I almost DNF'd it. Well, the first time I read it, I did DNF it because I was just like, what am I reading? And then I picked it up and I read it again, and it just did not do anything for me. It infuriated me. That's what it did. I did not enjoy it. I wish it just was not good. Not worth it to me. This was, I think when I first read it, I rated it like a 2-star, and just to be gracious, I might just leave it at that, but if I could give it a 1-star, I would. I just did not like it. Nothing about the story or the characters was redeemable to me. Even the ending just changed nothing for me. Not worth it. In my opinion, not worth it. Now, I know a lot of people didn't like this book, but I found it to be absolutely hilarious, and I enjoyed every second of it. But this book, The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, I adored this book so much. It was just like the perfect summer read, and I enjoyed every second of it. I thought it was funny. It literally made me laugh out loud, and most books don't do that. This book was just like, it was super light. It was so much fun. I really just enjoyed every second of it. Was it the most memorable book? No, I don't think so. But I really did enjoy everything about it. It was so much fun, and it was just so cute. It was fun. It was light. It was fast-paced, even though it's kind of long-ish. But I just loved it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but I really enjoyed this book, and I feel like it's the perfect time because it's warm weather now. Summer's coming. It's the perfect time to read this if you haven't yet. It was just, I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. At this point, I think I've put this book in every video that I've done, but I have no shame about it. Icebreaker. This honestly blew up on Bookstagram. I think like November, December. I read it in December, and I think about it every day, and it's April. But this book blew up, and I feel like the reviews were kind of half and half. Everybody either loved it or hated it. I loved this book. This was, and probably always will be, a 5-star read for me. I loved the characters. I loved the found family. I loved the tropes that were in it. I loved like the sports. I loved the campus setting. Everything about it was so good. I am obsessed with Hannah's writing. I'm so excited for book 2. This is one of my top 10 reads ever, I think. It just was so good, and I adore it. I just loved everything about it. Like, there was not a single thing about this book that I didn't enjoy, except for Aaron, but that was on purpose. So, you know, it's fine. But this was so good. The birds are really loud. This was so good, though. I'm obsessed. 5 stars. Up next, we have an author who literally everyone either loves or hates. Well, not the author herself, just like her books. Everyone either loves them or hates them. I have liked one, and I have not liked the other. I still have yet to read the third one, and she has a new one coming out this month. So we have Emily Henry's Beach Read and People We Meet on Vacation. This is what I get for filming outside. It's loud cars and trucks and birds and everything. Anyway, People We Meet on Vacation and Beach Read. I liked this one. I did not like this one. And not like I hated it, but I just didn't really like it. Gus and January, they were not memorable to me. They were very like, their characters were just so miserable. Like, not like Grumpy Sunshine miserable, like they were just like, they were just boring. They were boring in my opinion. They were very much boring. If you liked this book, I really am happy for you, because I wanted so badly to love this book and I just did not. I can't really like put my finger on like what fell flat for me, but I just didn't enjoy it. The writing bored me, the characters bored me, the setting, the town they were in was not my favorite. It wasn't for me. Also, the whole like cult sideline for Gus's book was just like, what is happening? I was very confused. I didn't really understand that part of it. It was very unique. It was very original. I do like Emily Henry's writing style and her ability to like create characters and help you like visualize them and what's happening in the scene. But other than that, this was like a 3-star for me. Not because it was not the worst book I've ever read by any means, but it was not the best book I've ever read by any means either. So this was a 3-star for me. But up next we have People We Meet on Vacation. This was a 4-star. I enjoyed this one quite a bit. It took me a little while to get through, which is why it's not 5-star, because I found it to like drag on a little bit in some parts. But I really enjoyed the characters. I liked Poppy, I liked Alex. I thought that their dynamic was adorable. I loved the whole vacation aspect of it and like the road trips and the traveling and all of that. I just thought was super fun, and it was like the perfect summer read. It again was not the worst book I've ever read, not the best book, better than Beach Read, so it's 4 stars. It was cute. It was cute. I would say worth it. Worth it. Now, because I'm liking doing the 2 at a time, we are going to do the infamous It Ends With Us, It Starts With Us. First of all, I read this when I was getting back into reading, and I really enjoyed it. It was, first of all, let me say, this is not a romance. This is not a romance. Not like it is advertised to be whatsoever. So for that, I don't like that side of it, because I went into this thinking it was a romance, and it was not. Like, thank goodness I was able to, like, I didn't need the trigger warnings, because wow. But I really, really loved this book, and I loved not Ryle. When I say characters, I'm not including that man. I loved the characters I loved Lily, I loved Alyssa, I loved Marshall, I loved the little snippets of Atlas that we got. But this book was so sad, and I cried a ton when I was reading this. When I first read it, I rated it 5 stars. I feel like I'm scared to reread it because I don't really want that to change. Just because I did enjoy this book when I read it, and I think that it was well done. I think that Colleen Hoover really did a good job at getting us to feel something when reading this book, because I definitely felt every emotion under the sun. But it was hard to read at some points, not because of like bad writing, but just because if you read this book, you know, it was just like, it was hard. It was hard to like picture. It was just hard. It's really, really sad, and it's not a romance. Please don't read it thinking it is, because it's not. If you need like trigger warnings or something, DM me on Instagram and I will give them to you, because this book, I feel like you need to be careful when reading this book. But it really was good. I really did enjoy it. I know that's kind of a unpopular opinion now. The book itself, the story, I enjoyed it. I think that this was worth it. But its sequel, It Starts With Us. I did like this book. It wasn't bad necessarily, but it was very quick. This is where we get to see Lily and Atlas finally have like their happy ending, but it was almost too much of the happy ending. Like, it felt very, like, there was no, apart from like one scene with Ryle, there was like no drama. It just felt like a fan fiction, I saw someone say. It was cute, but I feel like there was there wasn't really any like depth to the story, I feel like, if that makes sense. I did enjoy getting to see Lily and Atlas finally like be together, but it felt like this could have been included. This could have been like, I don't know, because of what's in it, it could have been so much shorter. I don't even know. This was worth it. Like, if you read It Ends With Us, this was worth it to read afterwards, but like, it was not giving all that it needed to give. That's for sure. But I did enjoy it. It wasn't bad. I would say it was worth it. Anyway, worth it. Now you know what my rating for this next one will be. Because, I mean, if you know me at all, you just know what this is going to be. The fine print. I have read this book probably, I think, 3 times, and every time I just love it more and more. I read it the first time last year during the, I think, like the fall. It was my first Lauren Asher series. Obsessed. This book and its characters, my little sister is literally staring at me in the window. Anyway, this book and its characters and the setting and like the whole Dreamland Disney World aspect of it was so much fun, and it was so unique, and I just enjoyed every single second of it. And I loved Zara. I just loved her. She was very relatable. Rowan was miserable. He was grumpy, but like deep down he is such a cinnamon roll. He's a softie, and he doesn't want anyone to know it, but Zara knows it. We all know it now. But this book was so good. It was like, it's workplace romance, it's grumpy sunshine, it just is so good, and I absolutely adored it. And the whole series too. And she just released the cover for her new book that takes place in Lake Wisteria, which is the setting of the final book, Final Offer. So I'm extremely excited for that. And I know I'm going to love it just as much as I've literally loved every single one of her books. This was 100% worth it, will always be worth it. I will fight to the death to argue with anybody that this book is worth it, and I am obsessed with it. It is perfect. I love it. It's like my favorite book. So, worth it. I also read this book last year, and I still think about it all the time because it was so good. This is a big one. It's like a little bit over 600 pages, so I can get why not everyone wants to read it. And some people are like, romance books should never be longer than like 350 pages, but like, I needed every page in this book, trust me. It was very much needed. It was so good. I loved Knox, and I loved Naomi. She, again, was like super, super relatable. This was Grumpy Sunshine. I loved Waylay. I don't really love her name. It's just kind of like, where did that even come from? But I loved them and their whole like dynamic and the family relationships that they formed, and I just loved it so much. I really love it. I still have yet to read the sequel, and I'm kind of scared to read it just because I don't want it to be over, but I know that the 3rd one is coming out in September, so I'm gonna be fine. But it just was so good. There's also like a big suspense part that happens in the end, which completely threw me off guard, and I did not expect it at all, but it was so good. I really recommend it. And now my neighbor is cutting the lawn. I don't know why I filmed outside, but it was too nice not to, but I guess this is what I get. But this was so good. I know some people don't really like this book, but I loved it. It's like my baby. Worth it. Now, the rating of this book is not of the series as a whole. I loved the other 3 books. However, this one, I hated. Twisted hate. I hated this book. Again, I wanted to try and keep this a little bit positive, but I have to tell you, this was so bad. This was so bad. I did not like Josh. I tolerated Jules. Together, I did not like them together. Separate, they were fine. Together, no. The whole like, this was supposed to be like enemies to lovers kind of thing, but it was just like, I did not like it. Also, it's not floppy whatsoever, because what is this? Like, this is what it should be. This is what it is. Anyway, that's not relevant to the story. But I was like tolerating this book. It wasn't like the worst one I had ever read. And then we get to the the scene, the whole, I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but I just have to say it, the whole, like, remember when I said I forgive you, and then he's like, I lied. After that part, I was like, absolutely not. I hated this book immediately after that. I already didn't like it, and then that scene happened, and I was like, no. That was absurd. And if that were to happen in real life, I know that every single one of us would get away. It was not good. I did not like it. I literally don't have anything else to say. I just did not like this book. The series as a whole, worth it. Absolutely. This book, I would skip over it next time I read the series. I literally have nothing else to say because I just did not like this book. That's all. Now, because I want to end this video on a lighter note, because that last one was a little bit rough, and I apologize. So we have Love and Other Words. This was so cute. This is one of the best, like, cute, cozy summer reads. It makes me think of, like, camping, staying in a cabin. It makes me think of hot cocoa. It makes me think of s'mores. Books. It makes me think of books, not just because there's books on the cover and they love reading books, but it just was so, it's like such a cozy comfort read. And I feel like I saw one of my book friends say this in one of her posts. I gotta remember what she said. She was like, oh, what was it? Like, if this book were a person, it would give the best hugs. And how accurate is that? Like, as soon as she said that in her post, I was like, yes, because this book is so good. It was so sweet, and I loved the characters, and I loved their relationship. I loved their friendship, and just the whole, like, development, and finally seeing them get together, because this is a friends to lovers, childhood friends to lovers. I loved seeing the flashbacks. I loved seeing, like, the flash forwards. I loved the epilogue. I loved everything about it. It was so cute, and it was so sweet, and I loved every second of it, and I cannot wait to reread this. I really loved this book. This was so worth it to me. Always and forever a 5-star. This was so good. I love it so much. It was so good. Now, for the final book of this video, we have another 5-star read. This is a debut novel. This came out last year. The sequel just came out. It was so cute. I adored every second of it. So, we have Set on You by Amy Lee. This was literally adorable. I enjoyed, this was like so unique. It had like the gym setting, like they were like gym rivals, which it was so funny because I just really enjoyed it. It was just very entertaining, and I loved the whole like her being an influencer thing, because I feel like sometimes that can be done in a book and it's really cringy, but this was not. This was like super realistic, I felt. And I loved how the author, somewhere she said how her main character, like the male main character, is inspired by Chris Evans, which I thought was, it just made complete sense after reading this book and then finding that out. I was like, yep, that is exactly accurate. But this was so cute. It was so quick. It was so fun. Every second of it was like, oh my gosh, this is literally adorable. And I loved their relationship. They were both so supportive of each other. And he is like, what's his name? Scott. He was like so perfect for, why can't I remember their names? Scott was like so perfect for Crystal, and he was so supportive of her and encouraging, especially because she deals with a lot of like insecurities, and that was a B. But he is so supportive of her and like helping her deal with her insecurities, and he just is so encouraging. There's literally so much happening right now. Intermission. There we go. But it was just so sweet, and I loved their whole relationship, and he's going again. It just was so cute, and it was so sweet, and it was so fun. It was unique. It was just really a light book, and it was so cute. Like, it just was, I loved it so much. I can't wait to reread it, because you guys, this was so adorable. And it also comes with like the text, which I really love in a romance book because I think it's like, it just takes it to the next level. I just loved it. This was completely worth it to me. 5 stars forever. I can't wait to read the sequel. Very good. You should all read it. I need to say it again super quick though. Please read Zodiac Academy. So good. Love it. That is all for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you have different opinions about your favorite books, or the same opinions, books that you loved that weren't in this video, books you hated that, well, books you didn't like that weren't in this video. But thank you for watching, and for more content, you can follow me on my Bookstagram. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.